Tua Lava, and welcome back to Behind the Lava Lava, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the vibrant people and cultures of the Pacific. I'm your host, Michael Tan, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Milford, and special guest, Fred Smith. This episode is brought to you by Matai Watches, a luxury timepiece brand that embodies the essence of the Pacific Islands. Today, we'll be kicking it with Fred Omega in preparation for fall, and we'll be talking about some current events. But I want to start off with an icebreaker towards Fred. Growing up, I've always heard my peers or my friends or people around me, they start dropping the N-word. So how do you feel about the brown, the Asians using the N-word? Because I hear that when I was growing up, almost every day, it was a casual thing, like the word belonged to us. Right. How do you feel about us using that word?
Yeah, so personally, I don't use it myself. So I feel that when even other Black people, when they use it in public, it gives people who aren't Black a license to almost say it. So with their friends group. So me personally, I don't use it because of that reason, because I'm not trying to give somebody else license to use that, because you may not know if they have the license around you. That doesn't necessarily mean they have the license around somebody else. You may be putting them in danger by letting that roll off the tongue so frequently. So I just didn't grow up in a household that used it. So if I did grow up in a household that used it, I may have a different perspective or usage on it. Like, people just use it like a person. That's my brother-in-law. He's from New York. He's born and raised in the Bronx. He's Puerto Rican. He looks white. But he's Puerto Rican, and that's like, he calls everybody that. So I don't take offense when he says that. He calls his own mom that. He calls, it's like, how could I differentiate myself from it when he calls his own mom? I can't draw the line. But if somebody, like even some Black people, they'll differentiate a Black person with that and a white person with another one. And then some Black people, that's just the pronoun for male, and then a pronoun for female is something else. So for those people, it's like, that's just a word to them. There's no malice behind it. There's no differentiation behind it. But some people that use it with differentiation, that's where it's like, is that what I am, or is that what you see me as? So that's my perspective on the word. So yeah, my son, I listened to the music with it. And funny enough, it was a Drake song. Yeah. So we were listening to, what's the song? I got enemies, got a lot of enemies, got a lot of people trying to drain me of my energy, trying to take away from it. I stopped the car right when that part came, and he finished the line on his own. And that's when I had a teachable moment. I had to sit him down and say, all right, this is what the word means. He's not saying it in a bad way, but we just don't say it in our household, type of thing. So, but there's teachable moments all the time.
Oh, that's cool. I never even thought about it. That's right. I never heard you use that word, or don't really hear you swear too often. So folks, Fred's an MC, and you can go through all his music and all his samples, everything he puts out, all his content, 100% guarantee you never hear it. And of course you got the neighborhoods where, the Blacks and the Pacific Islanders are heavily integrated, and they grow up together. And of course, you're going to have those crowds that just be like, oh man, hey, my oos is good. He can say it. And, you got the Usos that are automatically, they're going to drop those N-bombs no matter what, just because that's where they were raised. That was their environment. It's good to hear what you said, just because, they may have a license around me doesn't mean that, another person will give them that same exact license. So that was good to hear. That's a good question, Michael.
Yeah, I admit that I used the word when I was in high school, but I didn't know any better, mainly because we didn't tie the word with behind a deeper meaning. What we were taught was taught in the history books that were given to us. The whole territories, they fall under the same educational curriculum from here in the mainland of the U.S. And what we read, we've never understood how impactful slavery was. Yes, we heard what slaves were, but we never understood the meaning and how the black people were oppressed back then. So we never tied the N word and black people together because, yeah, like you said, it was casual for us when we were using that word. For us, it meant brother.
Right.
The same way that we dropped the word uso, that the same way we dropped the N word when we were talking among our friends, our peers. And when I finally joined the Marine Corps and I came here to the U.S., that's when I started to get educated on, the rights movement, Martin Luther King Jr., slavery, and that's when I started to get woke on a lot that's been happening, especially in the history of the U.S. So it's a big thing that a lot of us, especially back home in the islands, are very ignorant of, and I feel like we need to get more educated on these kinds of topics so that we don't use this word
Yeah,
like
exactly.
yeah.
It's a teachable moment, and it's yeah. Some people don't mean it by malice. Some people do, but it's like I said, it's a teachable moment, and at the end of the day, free speech. So people can say whatever they want. Everybody knows there's consequences to what you say. People try to say free speech, meaning that there's no consequence to what you say. That means you're not going to get persecuted or prosecuted by your free speech. But everybody who's been on the streets knows there's always a cost to what you say. So, yeah. So somebody may give you a fair warning. Hey, don't say that around me. Don't use that. Obviously, there's words in every culture that you don't say to somebody. But yeah, it's a conversation piece. This, like, especially with younger people, because a lot of kids now, it's like they're so far removed from the civil rights movement that it's like they have no fear or no tie to the struggle, and it's just words. So us as elder statesmen, we have to teach the younger generation of history and how to just be professional and conduct ourselves like young men and women out there.
Yeah, even bringing up the topic around my kids, it's still difficult for me to try to explain it without, trying to avoid saying the word to my kids. Yeah, it's definitely a teachable moment for all of us to try to speak history and try to direct our children towards the right path and don't have them, I wouldn't say repeat history, but try to steer them in choosing what is right and the right words to addressing people.
So speaking of culture, we wanted to know a little bit about your past, Fred. I know a little bit because we know each other from 29 Palms Paradise.
Yeah, I love that place. That's funny because some people is like it's desolate, but it's like I find it peaceful. That desert to me is peaceful.
Oh yeah, you ain't got to worry about tornadoes and hurricanes and all that other
worry
stuff.
About the power going out when it rains. That's it.
Yeah, right. But we just want to know a little bit about your experience growing up and dealing with Pacific Islanders, whether the Polynesians or just any islands out of the Pacific. Like, how was that, especially in the area that you grew up in? I know all across California, you can find different communities where there's just a presence of Pacific Islanders. Do you have any? Were you around any growing up? Do you have any memories?
Definitely. So I'm from Santa Maria, California. So that's the Central Coast. So we're not LA. We're not the Bay. We're in between. So right above Santa Barbara. Where I'm from, 65% Mexican, maybe 20% white, 3% black. The rest is other. So between that other, a handful of Samoans, a handful of East Indian, and then we have a lot of Filipinos. So mainly my experience is Filipino. So from kindergarten up, I didn't even know what starting in kindergarten, I didn't know what Filipino was. Like one of my best friends, I still to this day, I saw him like, you Chinese, you Japanese? He's like, no, I'm Filipino. And it's like that, like did right over my head. I'm like, what is that? So But yeah, the community, like, we just grew up in a melting pot. So we couldn't, growing up black in that area, you can't just have all black friends. You learn to integrate with everybody. So you have black friends, white friends. You look like you look at my old like photos of my friends, little United Nations. Everybody's a different race in the picture. And that's how we did it. So growing up, going to the parties, getting integrated with the food, the pancit, the lumpia, the lechon, the roast, the pig roast, all that stuff. And they just accepted, like, everybody accepted everybody. We would go to their house, they would go to our house. Love of the same culture too. So with the Filipino community, there's a lot of overlap with the hip hop, with the R&B, with basketball, with sports, all that stuff. And as a young man, everybody knows the easiest way to make friends: join a sports team, be good at sports. You're good at sports. It don't matter what your attitude is, what your personality is. They're gonna accept you. They're gonna accept you.
Hey, side note, being good at sports also in the military. And if you're good at sports, they want to holler at you too. You know, no matter the higher ranked dudes will definitely respect you and talk to you more.
Definitely. That's currency. That's social currency. Like, a lot of people don't understand social currency, but like, that's what I tell my son. It's like, he likes soccer, but I tell him basketball is a bigger ticket, but being athletic is a ticket in itself. People look at you, they respect you, you're fit, you could do other things that can translate into other sports. And as an adult, a lot of people understand it's probably hard to gain friends as an adult male. If it's not your day ones from high school, from junior high, you move to a different city, it's kind of hard to be integrated into another circle. But if you're an athlete, that's free ticket in. Oh, you do men's league? Oh, you play ball? All right, cool. We got you. It's like you automatically wrote your ticket into another club, into another city. It's like learning, it's like a secret language, secret society type thing.
I have a story of when I was in the Marine Corps. There was one other Samoan. His name was Garrison Cialoi. He was a little bit younger than me in our squadron. So every time for PT on our Fridays, we played basketball or football. And they would always separate us from the teams, mainly because when we played, we were wild, and most of the squadron were either white or Hispanic. So they didn't have any other colored people to represent, when I put it this way, us colored or minority people, we were good at sports versus those in who are white, who haven't really played sports in their childhood. So they pitted us together because we were wild and because we were very competitive. And basically, when we played, we just put our all into it. We got very physical, and it didn't make the games very boring. So yeah, we just had fun playing when I was in the Marine Corps, because I had another person there who I could just run into or just smack during the games. So yeah, that was an advantage of having another person there that that had the same mentality as me. So that's my story of being pitted against my own kind in the Marine Corps.
Still sharpens still. Yeah, iron sharpens iron.
One of my first interactions with Fred was at basketball courts outside, right at the barracks, and I was wearing running shoes and playing basketball. We were playing 21. Game just started, and then I landed on somebody's foot, and my ankle just, I heard the little snap, and I was just like, oh man. But then I barely know Fred. That's why you don't wear running shoes while playing. Or something like that. I just remember looking up like, this guy. It was just like, oh, Michael. And then, yeah, I knew who he was because his picture was in the barracks, so like this mean looking dude, freaking in his dress blues. But the sports were fun back in those days. And then I was just getting off my ankle injury when football season started on the base, and we had those base teams. And I just got off the injury. I'm out of shape, but I'm still manhandling the dudes from our squadron and all the dudes. But the whole format of, I thought we were going to do away with, a little bit of the Marine Corps jargon and mannerisms, but they still tried some like formation runs. And I say, and then I try to ask Gunny Streets if I could get out of PT if I came to practice. He was like, no. I was like, this ain't worth it. How come you didn't play for the team?
I played the flag football version, but at that point it was like the free time was my free time. Like I didn't really want to like basketball. I played on the base team for like a few games, but it's like after doing whatever the 16:30, it's like you just want to relax. So you know how it is. It's like 2K rapping. Like I wouldn't even hit the gym really. Like I wasn't even like some weekends I would go to lift, but the PT throughout the week was good enough to sustain me and keep me healthy. But I would like some guys after work, go to the chow hall, go to the gym, go play basketball. So I would play at the barracks every now and then, but I wasn't trying to follow a schedule at that point. It's kind of like with being a student athlete. I felt like when I was in college the first time, I was playing football, junior college in the Bay Area, and I felt like the school schedule and the sports schedule at the same time, it wasn't really conducive with you excelling at school. Like you were there for school, but the hours you had to put in, and like there wasn't enough time for homework. There wasn't enough time. You had to almost like pick and choose. Like they should have a sports team that represents the school that just dedicated to sports. And then after you're finished with sports, they should give you like a 4-year period to just study to get your degree. Because when you're doing both at the same time, you're going to be getting like a BS degree. And I don't mean bachelor in science. I mean like you're going to be basket weaving. You're going to be, something you can't get a job with. You got a degree. You got a piece of paper with underwater basket weaving, longest breath hold. Like you can't take that to anybody and show them anything. So that's my experience with prioritizing time. But yeah, prioritizing my time. Cause like now I'm dedicated to school. That's my priority. But when you have to juggle certain things, certain balls drop. And then when the balls drop, you sometimes some people get demoralized. You're like, all right, I'm just done with school. I got a couple D's. I'm on academic probation, or I'm a platoon sergeant. I got to babysit these people all day. I got to get phone calls at night, and I got to go to the base basketball team, base football team, get in. So it's just prioritizing my time.
Real quick, still on the topic of you dealing with your experiences and growing up with Pacific Islanders. Did you ever experience any romance with that flavor of Pacific Islands?
I had some brief. Brief. That was when I was older, not when I was younger. When I was younger, I was in my shell. I was not as outgoing when it came to talking to ladies. Everything else, I was A1. Sports, like I rather like sports, school, all that I was confident in. Talking to a girl, like I rather jump on a grenade than ask a girl to dance. Like for some reason, it was like the rejection was like crippling to me until I was about like 23. And then I was like, I would go to the clubs with the guys in the Marines and stuff, and then be a wallflower. And then all of a sudden I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I got my stuff together. I have a car. I'm a decent looking dude. Like, just ask like a girl to dance. And if she says no, cool, ask your friend. So that's when I finally started getting out of my shell. But yeah, when I was young, it's like there was interest. I would talk, but I was like, yeah, I wasn't ready. I was a late bloomer, but yeah, all of our communities were definitely integrated. Like all of my sister, I have an older sister, and all her friends, like Filipinos, come spend the night. My best friend, Filipino, I'll go over there. So we were like, still to this day, like the guy, one of my best friends, I was his best man at his wedding, Filipino family. So everybody in my community, like Santa Maria, like you have a group of friends that don't look like you.
Did you come across any, let's say, cultural nuances? Just anything that kind of that you just came across, like attending an event specifically to like Samoans, Tongan, Fijians, or any of the Pacific Islanders that you come across, and you went to their event and you saw it happen, and you were like, "Oh, that's new." Have you come
Right.
across something like that?
Yeah. So just being introduced to different things. So when I was playing junior college football, there was a couple Hawaiian guys. So St. Louis is at the high school, I think, one of the popular high schools. We had a receiver from there, little dude named Shane. So he would just tell me the slang and just how easygoing it was. I would ask him about the islands, and he'd tell me like it's basically similar to Caribbean. It's like they like listen to a lot of Bob Marley. They would do some of those things. I had the chance to go to Oahu in 2019, and T definitely hooked me up with a nice little nice little do's and don'ts travel guide and stuff while I was out there. But it's different. It's different being in the islands. It's like like almost like a magical feeling. Like I've been to the Caribbean and I've been to different countries in the Caribbean, and it's both tropical. But to me, Hawaii has like a radiating like magic too. I don't know. It's hard to describe, and I'm not like I don't have a deep connection with it. Like my dad is from Belize, so that's mainland, like connected to Mexico, but still Caribbean. I went there, and it was like the people that brought me that sense of joy, and like the people were so nice there. But being in Hawaii, it was like the land, like it just had something to say and something to revere.
High school too. My at least when I went to Bloomington for one semester over there in California, two of the homies were Belizean. One was straight from Belize, had the whole accent and everything, and then one was from Brooklyn, had the whole Brooklyn accent and everything. But the Belizean dude, he got a couple little Mexicans were like throwing paper at him. And then he turned around and they were going back and forth. And then we get off the bus and then they get in each other's face and he's like, "You respect me, man." And the little Mexican's like, "What?" Like, "You respect me, man." And then pushed them in the face. And Belizean dude ended up winning. And then my mom picked us up and we quickly got away before the rest of the entourage came. But anyways, so I'm in the occupation where fitness does matter. It matters more than some of the workers give it attention to. And we do have a physical ability test to make sure, we're within these certain guidelines. But of course, people want to do the bare minimum and, just skate by because it's a good paying gig and you're not running marathons or having to do anything extreme. But Fred, we're around the same age. I'm not going to give our age out because of OPSEC, but just know we've been around long enough. But you're still in pretty phenomenal shape. So my question for you is like, is there a reason besides being healthy why you find it important to keep in shape and stay on top of your fitness?
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I hold myself to a certain standards. Like there's certain things. Like I always prided myself physically on being able to do pretty much anything. Like pretty much anything I see. Like if you know me, like I could do a standing backflip to this day. I could do handstands, all that stuff. So it's like if I see something, I want to be able to do it. And if I don't have that ability, it's like nagging me in the back of my head. Like I should be able to do that. Like so, one of the things now that's humbling is yoga. Like my flexibility is trash. All the weightlifting is like you try to do flexibility training and you try to do weight training at the same time, and it's like you take a step forward, you take a step back, you take a step forward, you take a step back. So you're always in the middle. You're never gaining. You're gaining strength, but you're not gaining the flexibility, which is what you need in the older ages. So now I'm starting to do more mobility training and more isolation and yoga type stuff. But it's just a feeling. I like the results. I don't really like working out at all. I rather play sports. Like sports is like the way I like to work out. But running and just lifting is like a mindless. It feels like a mindless, almost like a cathartic. It's like it's mindless, but mindless in a good way, where you could zone out and meditate. It's almost like a therapy, but it's not anything I like to do. I don't wake up and like, ooh, I get to pump. I don't take any pre-workout. I don't take anything. I just go. I take CMOS and I take some multivitamins and I hit the gym, do my little warm-ups, hit the gym, do my little cool down, hour a day, try to eat kind of decent. I'm not the most, like, I was doing vegan 6 days a week for a little while, but now I'm back on Whatever I see, I eat. I just don't overdo it. But yeah, I just feel like your health is your wealth. You only have one body. So it's not anybody else's responsibility to take care of yourself but you. And the better shape you're in, you could be a blessing to others. Somebody may be in danger. You may be the one to pull them out of a fire, pull them out of a car. And even if it's not that extreme, you may be swimming and just that last little pump to get to the edge, get a breath of air, take that kid out the pool. So it's like fitness is more than just the looks of it. The looks are cool. Having abs, having guns, having all that, that's cool and all, but the functionality for it is the main reason, and the feeling. So I feel good when I work out after I'm done working out. Working out to me is boring, but the results, that's what I'm after. And I'm a photographer, and I'm going to school for teaching, so I don't need I don't need to be benching 405 like I was. And I realized that I'm like, what do I need to bench 405 for? Like, what is that? When is that that's not gonna come in handy in my life? Like, but a good 315 is a good man's strength.
Yeah, I think we've had similar upbringings, like in certain aspects I won't really bring up on here unless we happen to dive into that. But yeah, that's the reason why I mean, I'm not in the best shape, but you know, I'll work out for that purpose, just to be a protector, you know, for those around, in case, you know, there's always someone who likes to pick on the weak or the weaker. And even though, you know, that person we may perceive as weak is stronger than they know, they don't exactly have the mental courage, you know, to face these adversities. And that's part of the reason why I work out, and just because I want to be there for my family too. Like you said, functionality, I want to be able to run with them even when I'm, you know, 50, 60, just have fun with them, or just being around, be alive. I mean, death can come in any form at any second. Sure. I mean, I know I'm one of the healthiest people ever, but, you know, cancer took him like that, and it could happen to any of us. But the thing that's important is that we showed that we took the effort, you know, to be around for them, and we did the most, and hopefully it carries on with them.
Give yourself a fighting chance, yeah. Especially after COVID, you saw how people were just being out of shape when COVID hit them. It hit them that much harder. So if you were out there running and having a better lung capacity, you're just giving yourself that much more of a fighting chance just to change your outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was difficult when I caught COVID. It just made walking a little bit more difficult. But I surprised myself. I'm 320 pounds, and every Thursdays and Fridays I play volleyball, and I still can spike the ball. Even if I'm jumping and I'm like 2-3 feet in the air, or not feet, inches, 2-3 inches in the air. I'm still very active for a 320 pounder.
Yeah, and fitness isn't about the weight. Fitness is about how you function. Some people may see a bigger person and like underestimate them, like they can't do this, they can't do that. I've been outrun long distance by dudes with guts, and I'm like mind blown. I've been out, so you can't judge a book by its cover. Yeah, definitely people got some abilities out there, but sometimes you just have the genetics where the weight stays on. It's not as easy. Obviously, my genetics, like I can't say everything I've done is my own volition. I was blessed with some good genetics, so I could get away with some things. So I don't advise people do exactly how I do everything. What works for me works for me. What works for you may work for you. But there's definitely different elements in it besides just eating right and exercising. Some people got to go extra mile. Some people don't. Yeah.
And I try to stay active by coaching flag football. That's what I'm doing right now in this season, coaching my daughter's flag football team, and I'm still surprised that I could keep up with these kids running around and running drills and stuff. So
at Mill Creek Advanced Dental in Salt Lake City, Utah, patients receive top-notch dental care tailored to their individual needs and desires. The clinic prides itself on offering a wide scope of dental services, ensuring that every patient's requirements are met. The staff at Mill Creek Advanced Dental is renowned for their warm and compassionate approach, providing exceptional service to each individual who walks through the door. Patients can rest assured that their comfort and well-being are the top priorities at this dental practice.
Heading the team is Dr. Stephen J. Ablad, a dedicated military veteran whose passion for dentistry began during his junior year in high school. With a strong educational background, including undergraduate degrees in biology and business from the University of Utah and a Doctor of Medicine in Dentistry from the Medical University of South Carolina, Dr. Ablad brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the practice.
Throughout his years of practice in the U.S. Air Force and beyond, Dr. Ablad has continually pursued learning about modern technologies and practices in dentistry. He is dedicated to providing the best treatment for his patients and takes the time to communicate effectively, helping them understand their treatment options and ensuring that the right plan is developed to achieve their dental goals and overall health.
Whether patients require routine cleanings, fillings, or more complex procedures, Mill Creek Advanced Dental offers the utmost attention and highest standard of care. The focus is always on ensuring each patient leaves the clinic with a healthy and radiant smile. Patients interested in experiencing the exceptional dentist care provided by Dr. Ablad and his team at Mill Creek Advanced Dental in Salt Lake City, Utah, are encouraged to schedule their exams, cleanings, treatments, or dental emergencies by reaching out today. The team is all about serving patients and their families with all their dental needs.
To book an appointment, just call 801-278-2826. Once again, that's 801-278-2826. Or visit the website at millcreekadvanceddental.com. Once again, that's all one word, millcreekadvanceddental.com. Taking the first step towards a healthier smile is just a call or a click away. Mill Creek Advanced Dental, where patient care and smiles are at the heart of everything they do.
So speaking of exercise, let's talk about current events and what's been going on, especially that dub by the Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa. What do you guys know about that?
So I saw some of the highlights. I was watching it on Red Zone. So a lot of shuffle passes, a couple big plays to Tyreek. Yeah, that's crazy. They could have had a chance to put up the record to get the extra 3 points, but they did a little mercy at the end, let the time run out. But that's an amazing feat. 70 points. That's basically 10 touchdowns. I'd never seen that in my lifetime. That hasn't been done since the 60s.
Tua's cool and all, but it's Detroit all day, son. Nah, man, that was amazing. And I love the relationship between Mike McDaniels and Tua. And I wonder if like Brian Flores is seeing some of the success and sort of like just kicking himself because of what he could have had. You know, had there been some more thought and effort on his part. You know, I don't know if you guys watched the Pivot episode. It's a podcast with Channing, Fred, and Ryan Clark. But they had Mike McDaniels on, and just hearing that guy speak, I was like, oh, man, this guy's awesome. Now, I mean, you get his tidbits in the post pressers, but listening to him in that episode, you see why he got selected, even with him, you know, looking like a not like a coach.
Yeah. You could say he looks like a nerd, looks like an analyst guy. But that's the thing. Even if Brian Flores had the same ingredients, it's the chef that puts it together, how they put it together. So Mike McDaniels is the right dude to harness these skills, just like the same Mark Jackson. He had with the Warriors. He had the same ingredients that Steve Kerr had. The small tweak right here, small tweak here, and it's a whole different meal. It's a whole different result.
Oh, you're a Pats fan, right?
I'm a Pats. So we got the win against the Jets today. The Jets, I'm pretty sure the Jets are going to tank, so they're going to get Rodgers next year, and they're going to get a high draft pick this year. So it's like almost like a perfect storm for them. Just like the just like the Spurs do. The Spurs, they get good players. A player gets injured, they sit him out for the season. Then they get a high draft pick. That's how they got Tim Duncan with David Robinson. And then basically they've tanked the last 4 or 5 years to get Wembanyama. So I don't know if they planned it out to have it this specific year for generational talent, but they have them now. So
Michael likes sports. I don't know if he loves it, but he likes it enough to, like you said, play volleyball and to coach. I know he coaches because his daughters are there, but I know because he actually likes the game or has some sort of tolerance for it. So, Tan, who's your team? Like, who do you follow? Who are you a fan of?
So that's the real question here is who do I follow? The only teams that I really follow are, I don't follow the teams. I follow the players. If they're family, I actually follow them. If they're Polynesians, I follow them. Like for the University of Utah, my wife's cousin is playing and he's a wide receiver. His name is Devon Villen, number 17. I actually follow his accomplishments, and when he plays, I actually watch him play. So this weekend they played against Utah versus UCLA, and I was keeping track of his stats, and he total yards with only 2 passes, he got 52 yards total with 2 passes. And the main thing about him right now is Utah is not using their wide receivers as much. So he's not getting a lot of, I would say, playing time or any passes to him. And one of those main reasons is because their main quarterback, Cam Rising, isn't playing, so he's not getting a lot of passing time. So I used to follow Troy Polamalu when he was a Steelers. He's the only one that I own a jersey of, Troy Polamalu. But then again, I only follow the players. I'm not dedicated to a team because I never really watch sports. I'm that guy who doesn't watch sports for fun or is passionate about sports. So you can ask me anything about football, basketball, any of those major sports, and I wouldn't know a thing about it. I used to follow the Jazz when Donovan Mitchell was in the team and Gobert, but I'm no longer following the Jazz because it's a new team. So that's me right there. I'm not dedicated to a team.
I used to not watch sports until I played them. So with football, it was boring for me to watch. Basketball, but once so if you're in it, it's kind of easier to relate. But certain sports I could never really like. Baseball to me is kind of like they say it's a pastime. To me, if you're a baseball fan out there, shout out to you. But to me, it's just slow. It's so slow. But I live in Canada, so we have hockey. The hometown team is the Flames, so I go to Flames games probably like once a year. But yeah, hockey's a party. Like the hockey, like I never grew up playing or watching hockey, but when you're in that arena, you have no choice but to cheer like with everybody, get those goals, be invested into it. So it's like, yeah, I remember watching my dad and uncles watch football, basketball, and it's like, why this isn't good. So I'm getting almost got to be like indoctrinated into it. You can't just, if you're from a family that doesn't watch sports, and that may be part of a person's personal relationship. So if your spouse doesn't like sports and you do, it may be that's your time, that's her time. But if you have a spouse that's in it and you guys got the same team, I don't think there's anything more beautiful than that. The house that watches together and does things together. And then sometimes you have a house divided. You got the Raiders and Cowboys couple. You got the Packers and Rams couple. But you guys still come together for that sport, even though you're on 2 different sides, rooting for 2 different teams. But what's your experience, T?
Yeah.
Very similar. Like at first I found it boring, especially remember when X-Men, the original, the animated series first came out on Fox, and those would come out on Saturdays. And I would get so mad when my dad would take over the TV just to watch some like BYU football. Like, what is this crap? What are we doing? And then getting into playing and then actually being good at something I had known nothing about, just running away, either hitting people or, being able to juke people, even being bigger than, most of the kids. That was fun. I'm lucky my wife loves to follow basketball, even though I kind of get annoyed with how watered down the defense is nowadays, at least the effort. I know people are more skilled. It's more hard to guard people, but it's, you're still able to shut some people down, or at least slow them down. And what I like most about watching sports is just trying to figure out why and how, how things happen. And like, was it really a good play, or was it just because this person was lazy, or, what got exposed? I like to figure out the problems and see if even I at some level can emulate it. I mean, that's what I like a lot about basketball, is just being fatter, older, and slower than everybody else, but then getting out there and schooling them young bucks, or locking them down and ripping them, or pinning them against the backboard, and they weren't expecting it. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I play in a 35 and older men's league basketball, and it's no joke out there. Like, some of these older dudes are still stripping me, and like I gotta get my athleticism isn't the end all be all. So I gotta be more shifty with the ball. I gotta learn how to adjust the play. And they know all the dirty tricks too. They'll be grabbing me, pulling my jersey when the ref's not looking, holding my wrist when I'm trying to go up for rebounds. So yeah, it's different out there. The experience is invaluable.
Aside from sports, let's go back into the classroom. We as veterans, especially on here, we like to talk about things that can help benefit other veterans, or things that they may not know about, or have resources are all around them, but they don't really know where to look or how to look, or have the awareness of, how to search for these things. But you right now, Fred, you're on a pretty big journey academically, and you're about to fulfill some goals. Do you want to talk about the path you're on right now to become a teacher, and what made you get into that, really? Because, you're everywhere. You're a met. We could find you in hip hop, we could find you in sports talk, we could find you in being an author, all different types of things. But what really made you want to take that path of becoming a teacher? And as a veteran, was it easy to utilize those resources to help assist you in your school stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, coming to Canada, once I separated in 2014, I moved to Canada. So using your GI Bill was pretty straightforward back then, but it actually changed the summer I moved to Canada. So back then you could use your GI Bill for vocational school internationally and all this stuff. So I planned on going to the junior college up here just to do, because that's the way you do it in the States. If you don't want to go to a 4-year, you go to a junior college, community college, you do 2 years there, and then you do your major at a 4-year college. But here in Canada, it's different. It's like junior college is for upgrading. It's only for like prerequisites that you need to go to a 4-year. So they terminated that with the GI Bill once I got here. So I had to go to a trade school and pay out of pocket to pursue to use my student visa. Was the reason why I was here initially. Even though I was married to a Canadian, I had to get into the country by a student visa and then apply for my permanent residency. So I went to an accelerated course, became a graphic designer, did that, and I didn't look back. And then soon after, I had a son. So I was like, I don't want to be, like I was talking about prioritizing time earlier. I did not want to be a student and have a small toddler or a baby, because everybody who's a parent knows that the kid comes before school. You can't study. You can't say, just sit down and be quiet for a second because I need to get this reading done. So I said, when he's in kindergarten, I'm going to start school. And I got a message from a friend that I served with in North Carolina. He messaged me, said, how's my disability claim going? I said, I don't have a disability claim. And that got the ball rolling for me to start looking into getting back into school using my benefits, because I've been in Canada this whole time. I haven't used any VA benefits. So I was putting a bunch of obstacles in my own way why I couldn't go to school. Will I get accepted to the 4-year college? Can I go to the college here? Will they accept my prior education? All this stuff. And then I just realized I could go to school online in the States. That will skip that obstacle that I had. So I called up the school. I looked up the best online schools. This was a year ago. So yeah, 2022, March, actually, 2022. So Arizona State University was number one, and number two was Liberty University. So I contacted both of them, and Liberty University just made it streamlined. They made it easy for me to get in. Like they waived the application fee. They accepted 70 of my prior credits. So I did 2 years of junior college before joining the Marines, and they accepted my military transcripts, which gave me 70 credits. I only used 15 of those because most of those are electives, but I have 70 out there. So like they just made it so easy to get into school. 2 weeks later, I was accepted into the teaching program. So for the teaching program, you have to maintain a 3.0 to get your degree. It's not a 2.0. And yeah, you have different gates to accomplish besides your classes. So you have your normal classes, your normal class curriculum. And then on top of that, you have to get your background check done. You have to get your fingerprinting. And that's the first gate. So once you pass that, then you get to the second gate. And the second gate, you have to take a couple tests. You have to get different other paperwork in. And by the time you're in the third gate, you have to do a couple more like teaching tests. You have to do your child abuse awareness, your dyslexia training, your first aid. You have to do so much. So by the time you actually graduate, you're done. You don't have to do another year of certification. You don't have to do any other prep tests. Once you're finished with school, by the time you do your practicum, your student teaching, you're a teacher. Once you get that diploma, you're certified to go and you're a teacher. But there's also different requirements for different states. So Liberty University is based in Virginia. If you're in Florida right now and you're a veteran, if you have 60 credits and you served 4 years, you could teach in Florida right now. That's the only qualification you need. You don't need a degree. You don't need to be working towards a degree. That is all you need because they are so they have such a deficit for teaching. They're down 9,000 teachers. They're taking, I think they might be taking military spouses too. Don't quote me on that. But if you serve 4 years and you have 60 credits, you could be a teacher in Florida right now. You'll be learning under a teacher until you get your own class, but you do not have to be pursuing a degree in anything. You could just teach straight out. So, and also the other financial assistance that comes with that. So using your GI Bill as an online student is $900 flat rate. Internationally, it's $1,450. And then if you qualify for different financial aids like FAFSA and stuff like that, and then there's also grants. So to be a teacher specifically, there's a Teach grant, which allots you up to $16,000 for your time in college. So $4,000 a year, and that is a grant, which means you don't have to pay that back, and you just have to work in the public school system for 4 years after that. If you do not do that stipulation, then it's treated as a loan. So you just have to pay it back, but there's no penalty. So it's up to you to decide. Take the money now, work in a public school, it gets erased, or pay it back later. But like I say, take the money, take the money now and figure that out later. You don't have to go the student loan route most of the time. And there's scholarships out there too.
Hey, Fred, did you know about the VRE and how you can use it to pursue your higher education?
Which one is that? The disability?
The vocational rehab. I forgot what the E means, but
if you have a disability rating of 10% or more.
Oh, yeah, 10% or more.
Yes.
Yeah, because I didn't know about that. You can actually use that to pursue whatever career you want to go in, and they'll pay you the BAH instead of using your GI Bill. And that's what I just learned about, and I have already used up all my GI Bill. So now if I want to change careers, say I want to do digital marketing and there's a job there that I want, I can just tell them, hey, this is the job that I want. I'll give them the description and all that info that they need, and they'll set me up with whatever school, basically just going to school to earn the degree to become a digital marketing individual or whatever is in that career. So I didn't know that until I graduated and someone told me about it. So I missed out on that. I could have saved my GI Bill for later.
For a higher degree, yes. I have a 0% disability rating, so I'm working on that too. So when my friend said that about when he messaged me, how's my claim going, which I never had one, that got me in the process of getting my claim going, because it's been 9 years since I've been out and I haven't received or pursued anything. So it's on me to get that ball rolling and get what I rate.
Yeah. To all veterans, go take that step to apply for a disability rating. You will get one.
My last question: did you ever see yourself becoming a teacher, like as a young Fred Omega? Were you ever pondering about the path of becoming a teacher, and why a teacher nowadays in these present days is Fred Omega?
Okay, yeah, definitely. I did not see myself becoming a teacher. I was a struggling reader. I was smart, but it was just academically was like school wasn't for me. I was a class clown. I was chilling. I'd rather be like this is elementary. Like I thought I was a gangster. I was chilling, being class clown, getting in fights, all that stuff. By the time I hit junior high, I switched schools, so I had a chance to reinvent myself. And when I switched schools, the school I was at previously was like a month ahead of the school I switched to. So when I switched to the new school, I was miles ahead of the kids. So they just thought I was a genius because I knew how to multiply decimals and all that stuff. Like, cool. So I got that head start and I kept it from then to the end of high school. So yeah, I would have never thought, like, my pathway was probably jail. Like as a kid, I thought all men went to jail sometime in their life. Like it wasn't like, oh, you're going to be a professional this, you're going to be a professional that, you're going to go to school, or you're going to go to work in the office with a tie. That wasn't my trajectory at all. But the reason I wanted to be a teacher was I wanted to help people. So initially I thought I could be a police officer and help people, but I'm like, that's more reactionary. Like I'm not knocking the profession or anything. It's an honorable profession, but like I'll be meeting people on their worst day. Like, do I want that stress? And then I thought social worker. It's like, I still want to help people, but I was like, I'll still be meeting people on their worst day. I have to be dealing with domestic violence issues, child neglect issues. And that's kind of triggering. I grew up in a household with that as a kid. So it's like, do I still want to be meeting people on their worst day? And then I thought a teacher could help people. Everybody had that teacher who underestimated them and you want to prove them wrong. And there's always that teacher that believed in you, that gave you that extra push to get it done academically, letting you know that you are smarter than you're presenting yourself. So, and then there's also kids that fall through the cracks and you're like, how does this happen? So myself, as a kid that would slip through the cracks and just get passed along, I feel that I could be the one that's notices that kid. Like some of the kids that are at the top, they still need that encouragement. And then some of the kids that are at the bottom, they have potential, but they may have low self-esteem. There may be something going on at home. They just may be hungry and they can't focus on school. So it's different factors. And sometimes teachers don't see that. They just mistake it for bad behavior. And 80% of teachers in the US and Canada are white women. So there needs to be more male and people of color, because you could relate to different situations in a different way. As a person of color, hey, this may be going on at home, or this may be culturally, or he's acting out because he's crying out for attention. He's not just being a bad kid type of thing. So we may have more leniency to the situation than just send them to the principal's office, just suspend them, just expel them.
Hell yeah. That's good to hear. Thanks for sharing that. Aside from his academic pursuit, that he's finding success in, there's a lot of reasons why I think Fred would be greatly qualified to fill this position as a teacher. And it's awesome to hear your reasoning because, that's real. That's a lot of people complain about problems that they see, this and that, oh, this new generation, this and that, but nobody's really taking steps, what I'm saying, to intervene and try to do something about what they complain about. They don't try to provide solutions. And what you're doing is, not only for you, but it's a solution for everyone, and to just try to help better the world. And that's really good to hear, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
If I were a teacher, which I can be if I got fired and I decided, I want to be a teacher. Now I can use my bachelor degree to become a teacher, because here in Utah, that's all you really need is your bachelor's and a few courses that they make you take, because they have a shortage of teachers here also in Utah. So I think I would just become a PE teacher, just chill and tell kids to run around, exercise. So
yeah, and you only work 180 days a year. I saw I was looking up the contracts to see financially what would make the most sense to go, and which districts have different benefits, because it's almost like it's like a scale. It probably starts about 65,000, but like after like 7 years, you're making 100,000, but you're literally not working any weekends. You're not working the summer. It's literally half the year you're working, and you have time to do other things. So, like I said, I'm a photographer. That's my full-time job right now. I work mostly nights and weekends. Being a teacher, that's not going to interfere with anything. So I'll still be able to have my business as a photographer, and I'll still be a teacher and still be able to give 100% to both. And then summertime, be able to travel, go anywhere. And you could teach internationally too. There's international teachers, and what they say, I was looking at I think Hawaii and Puerto Rico expedite teachers because they need teachers from the mainland to come out there too. So it's like there's options. There's small towns that need teachers. There's big cities that need them, and you're a service to your community. You're part of your community.
So Fred, I'd like to ask our guest this question. Do you have any questions for us to get the hosts of Behind the Lava Lava?
Where do you see this podcast in 5 years?
Let's have T answer that real quick,
and
then I'll jump in.
Don't be conservative with the answer. The more you speak into existence, the more will come. So if you're being conservative with the outcome, with the request, then it's going to be a conservative outcome.
I think I see us continually growing, especially our relationship with Matai. I think as that relationship grows and as they continue to grow on their side of the world, I think it's definitely going to expand here, and there'll be some things that come out of that relationship. I'm not saying everything, but I think our futures together will bear something. So right now it's been kind of hectic because I'm just getting a new position at work and trying to figure everything out, and also coming into this basketball season, I wasn't sure if I was going to have a team or not, which has been like the last 3 seasons. So just trying to figure out scheduling and everything just to help Michael, because he's pretty much carrying the load. That's been pretty hectic, but as soon as things settle down and we get more structure, I see us continue to take off. The more content we provide, the more we're out there, and I think we'll definitely succeed, and also give us some room to hire somebody else to help put out episodes and edit besides, the one guy who's coaching, working. He's got daughters in freaking Chinese school, dealing with all of that. And, whatever his wife tells him to do. I mean, I never been one to really care about the masses and opinions. I mean, even if we had 1 million followers, that's nothing. It's what I'm doing with my boys. It's giving me this opportunity even to stay connected with you, Fred, and have you on and, have this type of fun. All in all, just to keep the rant short, I see it's still growing.
I know that we will become one of the trusted premier media here in Utah. I don't know about the world, but the world will come later. But right now we are focused on become a trusted media here in Utah. And I know that we will grow and become one of the top Polynesian Pacific Islander podcasts out there. So the vision is to be out there helping people, like we're putting ourselves out there, helping people, promoting their business, promoting topics that we don't like to talk about, helping veterans, just immersing ourselves in the community, especially here in Utah, because that's our home base. And hopefully in the future we will branch out and become something more. But I know that we will be big, and like T said, we are growing organically, and we're kind of intertwined with Matai, with the brand Matai, and we're basically a team. We're Team Matai. So they're growing, and we're growing alongside with them. But yeah, that's where I see this podcast going. It's the more effort we put into it, the better the outcome.
Exactly, and it shall be so. I see it. I see the consistency. I see the growth. So just like with me, I put out a rap verse every Sunday. So it's like, even if I don't feel I'm getting the feedback that I feel it should get, somebody will message me every now and then, like, man, that verse was hard, keep it going. Like, it just gives you that little push to keep going. So I understand definitely with the consistency and just putting it out there, just to put it out there sometimes, but you don't know who you're going to touch that day in particular, or who you're going to reach.
And then you never know the people that your content will reach and what kind of impact that you will make on them. And I see your clips when they come up on my post, Fred. So props on you for keeping that consistency and for constantly hustling with your platform, because we see you, and we really appreciate you for joining us tonight. And we just want to say thank you, Fred, for joining us in the second time around, and for assisting us with this episode.
Thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure to be on here.
You want to shout out your son, who's definitely going to outgrow us?
Oh yeah, and his YouTube.
Yeah. So
natural.
If you look up Uncle Freddie's Courtyard on YouTube, my son is 7 years old. He started a book review YouTube channel. So he'll be reviewing books at his reading level. So he did my book. I wrote a book called My Daddy's Legs. And then he did a book called, about Martin Luther King called I Am Brave. So yeah, this little backdrop right here, I have him set up. He reads his book and then he gives it a rating. His name is D'Artagnan. So he gives it darts. That's his rating system. So 1 out of 10 darts. That's his scale.
I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Behind the Lava Lava. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow Behind the Lava Lava and leave us a review. And make sure you check out Fred. Where can people find you, Fred?
Fred Omega 24 on most social media, or just type in Fred Omega. I'll pop up YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Fred Smith on Facebook. You see me right here. I'll probably be tagged in there. So you see me on the TV near you too. What was it? Under the Banner of Heaven, Last of Us. If you guys watch Heartland, if you guys are familiar with that Canadian show Heartland, I'm on that every now and then.
We hope you found this interview informative and insightful. Until next time, Tofa Soifua.